to the man on the street, "Sir, can you help me? 'Cause you'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on."
Roll over there. Camera's running and mark it.
Phil, you've been a performer and a musician pretty much all of your life, but the songwriting career came later on. Were you writing songs before?
Yeah, I did write the odd thing, you know. I mean, in one of the bands I was in before Genesis, I wrote a couple of songs, very, you know, not very good songs, but and there was a piano in the house, so I used to play, you know, play one, miss one, play one, miss one, you know. And that's what kind of started me off in that direction at all, because I was a drummer since the age of 5. But and I contributed bits to Genesis, but never really complete songs, you know, which was my strength was in the playing side of it.
So you contribute musical parts, but not the whole entity.
Nothing. Duke was the first time in '80. It was just I'd written Face Value, but it was yet to come out. And I played the guys the songs that I'd written, and they chose a couple that they liked, and that was the first time anything of mine on my own had been out on a, you know, certainly on a Genesis record.
Okay, but going back a bit before then, it was '75, I think, when Peter Gabriel left. You find yourself centre stage.
Yes, but I didn't want to.
It came as a surprise.
Yeah, well, it's kind of, it's weird. It's like being adrift in a boat, you know, and you fall asleep and you wake up and you think, how did I get here? You know, because it wasn't what I intended at all. In fact, when Peter said he was leaving, my initial reaction was, well, that's good. Well, forget about the singing. We'll just have an instrumental band, you know. I mean, because that suddenly you can hear all the music because there's no singer, you know. Which of course didn't go down very well, being a songwriting band. So we started writing the material and auditioning singers. And I always got the job to sing to the people that were auditioning, because I had been singing when Peter was in the band. And we never found anybody that we wanted in the family, so we went into the studio without a singer. We had one guy that we thought might make it, and we did all the tracks. We had no concern for keys, about what he could sing or not. It's just this is the way we wrote it, and he had to fit in with it. And it didn't sound very good at all, the song he tried. So when he left, I said, you know, can I have a go? And so I went down, and you know, everybody's sort of, well, that sounded all right, let's keep going with that one. And then the next day we tried another one until we finished the album, and we still didn't have a singer, as far as I was concerned, because I just wanted to play the drums, you know. So we had another sort of brief look for a singer, half-hearted attempt. And then it was talked about, why don't you do it? Which was like, it was like a horror for me. You mean come out from behind the drums? This is not possible. I've been playing drums since I was 5 years old, you know. I mean, Anyway, I started to come around to the idea this is the only way we're going to be able to do it. And I got a friend of mine, Bill Bruford, to come and play drums for a year. And it was terrifying.
So they pushed you forward?
A little bit more terrifying than this, but just about the same.
About the same. So it wasn't an ambition at all then?
No, not at all.
For you to be a singer, to front the band, to...
No. And a lot of people, you know, it's a better story if the greedy drummer wants to be the singer and kicks the singer out. You know, it's a better story than the real one. But no, I sang in my school bands from behind the drums, and I could do that now. And in fact, I did on the last Genesis tour, sing Follow You, Follow Me from behind the drums. It's not physically a problem. It's just that it looks terrible. You know, people can't see. So because you've got all this paraphernalia between you and the audience. So it was the last thing I wanted to do. It was like someone taking a security blanket away, and all I had was a microphone stand, you know. And for years, I couldn't even take the microphone off the microphone stand. It was just like, it became this thing that I could hide behind.
Was there a catalyst that actually made you sit down and write songs yourself?
Yes, the divorce, really. That always does it. Yeah, it was 77, 78. And I found myself in the house, and, you know, long story short, my wife had gone, my 2 children had gone, the 2 dogs had gone. So I had, you know, I had nothing to do. So I started to just fool around on the piano, just sort of just making demos. a couple of people heard them. 𝙋𝙤𝙡𝙡𝙡 was one. Tony Smith, who's been managing us for years, was another one. Said, this is a record, you should put this out as a record. And I said, well, I can't face going back and re-recording everything. I've done it only just once, you know. So we had the idea. I just working with Peter Gabriel on his third album, and I really hit it off with the engineer 𝘾𝙤𝙤𝙡𝙤. And we had to listen to the demos and said, well, why don't we just use the demos? So we took my 1-inch 8-track demos, because they were pretty, you know, high quality tape. Took them into the Townhouse in London, copied them to then was 16-track, and carried on working on the demos. So the demos became the album. And you know, when you listen to the, if you were to sort of put a track up, you can hear the phone ringing, you can hear the fridge going on and off, and all this kind of thing. You know, it's there, and I didn't know it was going to be used, so I didn't bother to do it again. I mean, a song like "In the Air Tonight," I never wrote any of those lyrics down. Those words came out spontaneously.
If you hadn't been writing songs before, no one had taught you how to write a song.
No.
How did you know how to form a beginning and a middle and an end, and know where to put the verse and the chorus?
Well, that kind of thing. The arrangements. That my strength inside the years I'd been with Genesis was playing, seeing how other people's material could be interpreted, and arranging it. You know, so I was good at that. But I'd never, you know, I kind of, these things were my mental notebooks, my messages to the ex-wife, you know. Oh, if she hears this, she'll understand how hurt I am, blah, 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 you know. And she did, and she wasn't impressed.
Didn't care.
Not particularly, no. But they were very, very personal songs, which is why I didn't want to re-record them again, and why I ended up playing as much as possible myself.
Being personal songs, they then became very, very well-known songs. Was that quite a hard thing to go through?
Well, for me, no. I mean, I was quite surprised, you know, I mean, that anybody else was interested, frankly. I mean, I was still the singing drummer, you know. I mean, I'd been singing with Genesis for 2 years, but I was still a drummer. And if that hadn't happened in my personal life, I would never have dreamt of making a solo album.
In that case, if this hadn't happened in your personal life, do you think it's quite possible that you wouldn't have actually become a songwriter at all? It's
quite possible, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a pivotal moment, you know, I mean, which always leads to the difficult question when someone says, so if you could do anything again, what would you do? How can I say, well, I wouldn't do anything different? Because that means that maybe I could have tried harder, although it's hard to believe that I did. I could have tried harder. But, you know, make it work and blah, you know. So it's the difficult kind of question, because that led to so much. It led to me standing on my own 2 feet a bit more, being able to contribute more to the band, being able to write things that actually touched people, which is why they went out and bought the record, I guess. In the Air Tonight is the lyrics you said just came to you. Yeah. So you weren't writing about specific events. No, but you know, have you ever been divorced? But there's a whole area of emotion that you know. I mean, in that song you can hear, there's some mystery, of course, but that's more the sound and the way it's presented, I think. But there's a lot of anger and there's bitterness and, you know, but right next door to it on the album is a song called You Know What I Mean, which is like, hey, you've taken everything. You know what I mean? So it's like, it wasn't just anger on the album. But in fact, I tried to find, the interesting thing is I tried to find, I had the original lyrics at home in my pile of stuff, and I noticed that they were written, when I found them by accident, they were written on the back of the decorator's note paper who went off with the wife. So right. I had this piece of sort of little piece of history here, and I tried to find it to bring it, you know, to show you, because it's like what I did, I sang the words, and then after I sang the words, I then wrote them down, you know, because they had to be written down at some point. But the lyrics all came spontaneously, and so I started like that. So my method of songwriting is like that, you know. I very, very rarely do I sit down and say, now, I've got the tune, what am I going to write about? It's usually something, it could be a chorus, could be a verse, could be a couple of lines of something you've read, an idea, you know. It starts off with a feeling or an emotion. Yeah. Is it cathartic? I think if you're miserable, you tend not to put on a happy record to make yourself feel happier. You tend to sort of put a sad song on so you can feel worse and really enjoy the moment, you know. And so I suppose there's this perverse enjoyment you get out of really seeing how much you can say with as little as possible. I was really writing messages, you know, writing little letters, musical letters to my partner.
So yeah, and at this point you didn't really have an idea of them becoming public property?
No, no. And it didn't embarrass me, actually. Some people say, aren't you embarrassed by this? I mean, I never got embarrassed by what I wrote, because it was the truth, you know. You can only be embarrassed by lies, I think.
In the Air Tonight, would you mind playing it?
I know this one. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, I've been waiting for this moment all my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, oh Lord. Well, if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand. I've seen your face before, my friend, but I don't know if you know who I am. Well, I was there and I saw what you did. I saw it with my own two eyes. So you can wipe off that grin, 'cause I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies, and I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, well, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, oh Lord. Well, I remember, don't worry. How could I ever forget? It's the first time and the last time we ever met. But I know the reason why you keep your silence, so no, you don't fool me, because the hurt doesn't show and the pain still grows. I'm a stranger to you and me. Well, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life, all my life. Oh Lord, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, oh Lord, well, I've been waiting for this moment all my life. Oh Lord, oh Lord.
When you're writing new material, would you sometimes have, say, a musical idea in your head of something that someone else has done, which you then find yourself adapting and changing? And
I mean, sometimes it can be, I love that song and I'd love to write my version of it, you know, and I've done that as well, you know. When I did Buster, I was asked to write the music, you know, some songs. I said, no, I'm acting in this. So they said, well, can you, who would you suggest? So I suggested a couple of people, and one of them was 𝘾𝙤𝙡𝙡𝙡, who was part of the Holland Dozier and Holland Motown team, because I'd met him and we'd kind of got on very well. He came to Acapulco where we were filming, and he brought with him a demo of this song, and it was just fantastic. And so I wrote the words in an afternoon and played it to him, because I had it in a cassette recorder in the hotel room. I played it to him the next day. He said, well, you're going to have to sing it now. Now you've written it, And that was Two Hearts, and that was just trying to write Motown song. I mean, obviously I had half the team with me, but he was trying to write a song that was evocative of that, da 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 da, heat wave. You see, it comes on and you just smile.
Well, once you got started, because you're saying you didn't write songs that much until the divorce, no. But then you seem to be on. But then you seem to be on something of a roll. Did it come easily after that?
Yes. I mean, it's awkward. I don't find it awkward to talk about. I just find it awkward to say he's still on about the bloody divorce. But it's basically, it's reason why we're sitting here, And by the time you get to the second record, well, by the time I got to my second record, it had gone past the hurt stage. It was now at the kind of the anger at receiving letters from lawyers and saying, what the f is this?
By the time you were in a relationship again, presumably happier than when it all went wrong in the first place, were you still finding it easy to write? There
was a point around that time where I was thinking, when you hear, like, even the names of the bands, the Four Tops, the Marvelettes, the Miracles, the Supremes, it's all very optimistic, and I wonder why it is, and their songs were uplifting, I love you, baby, but I'm going to get you back, reach out, I'll be there, Bernadette, don't go, And I was wondering why I wasn't able to do that, and I'm still wondering sometimes. But yeah, it's I think the miserable songs are probably easier to write. Yeah. And nowadays, if I start going down a ballad avenue, I'll think, oh no, I've done that. I have done that. I want to do something else that I've not done. So I've probably thrown away quite a few good things just because out of bloody mindedness, really.
Just because I thought got enough of them in the songbook.
Yes. And they've heard enough of that.
Against All Odds, that was written for a commission, or was the song written before?
Well, it was written at the same time as Face Value. But I didn't consider it good enough to go on that album. So it lay there for a couple of years. I was on tour, and Taylor Hackford, who directed the movie, got hold of me and said, I'd like you to write a song for this movie I'm doing. I said, well, I'm on the road for the 3 or 4 or 5 months, and I can't write on the road because I haven't got my stuff, And he said, oh, it's a shame. Well, I said, I do have a song, actually. I do have a song which I haven't done anything with. So I sent him the tape of the song, and he said, oh, this is great, I love this.
Did you have the lyrics already?
I had some lyrics. I mean, I had to change them. I had to modify. Some of the lyrics were already there, but a lot of them were obviously, he wanted me to, a song that kind of captures the mood of the film and what's been happening in the film. And Rachel Ward is just standing there with this guy who's just walked off. She's still very much in love with him. And so I wrote the lyrics.
So does that then become a very different way of writing lyrics? It almost, if you're writing for a story that already exists, does it become, not exactly acting, but less emotional?
Well, it's a bit like if you go bowling and they put the barriers up, for kids, so the ball stays in. It's a bit like that, You know that somewhere along the line you're going to hit something because you've been given these lines to work between. So, and obviously you don't have that if you're writing on your own. So I mean, and Taylor was, I kept singing, and you coming back to me is against the odds. And he'd say, all odds, against all odds. It's the name of the film, against all odds. I said, and it didn't roll off my tongue at all, You coming back to me is against all odds. But I had to do it because it was, he wanted me to do it for the film.
How often have you performed Against All Odds?
Oh, well, I sang it thousands of times. But I played it when I wrote it. And then I played it at Live Aid twice in one day. But apart from that, I've never played it.
Is it a tough song to play?
Yes, I would call it my troublemaker song, because I don't even know how I wrote it, because it's not the kind of, I mean, it's not this, you know, play one, miss one, play one, miss one thing. It had all this movement in it, that which is one of the reasons why I kind of started to get a block against it.
So why is it so tough to play?
I don't know, because I opened the book, this book, which I had to drag out of the cupboard to find out what the chords were. And actually, the way that he's written, whoever did it, is really written the chords. So I can play it. You know, I'm better now than I was, but you know, but the way I wrote it was kind of, it was my big ballad, you know, and that's what I can't do anymore, and I couldn't do then. So.
Well, can we hear it in some form, the way you can play it now?
Yes, it'll be. I'll be treading very carefully around it, just so you know. Also, I can't play the best bits, which is the beginning and the end, which Arif wrote. So. How can I just let you walk away? Just let you leave without a trace. When I stand here taking every breath with you. You're the only one who really knew me at all. How come you just walk away from me when all I can do is watch you leave? 'Cause we've shared the laughter and the pain, and even shared the tears. You're the only one who really knew me at all. Take a look at me now, 'cause there's nothing empty space, and there's nothing left here to remind me, just a memory of your face. Take a look at me now, 'cause there's just an empty space, and you coming back to me is against the odds. It's a chance I've got to take. I wish I could just make you turn around and see me cry. 'Cause there's so much I need to say to you, so many reasons why. You're the only one who really knew me at all. So take a look at me now, 'cause there's just an empty space, and there's nothing left here to remind me, just the memory of your face. Take a look at me now. It'll get me sometime. There's just an empty space, but to wait till is all I can do, and that's what I've got to face.
Is there a formula to writing a hit single?
Probably. I mean...
Have you got
well, one? No. The fact that people like what I do is like a happy coincidence, because I would, you know, I'd just do what I do, and people either like it or they don't. And but for a while there, because there's no, people couldn't quite understand it. Critics couldn't quite understand it. I was supposed to be, you know, the King Midas with the formula that knows exactly what's going on. I have no idea. I have no idea. There are obviously, I guess you get, and they would admit it, the 𝙋𝙤𝙡𝙡𝙡𝙡 kind of writers, and those in the 80s, I guess it was now. But you know, then there's a formula for that. You know what's going to happen, you know, and it pushes all the buttons, you know, and that kind of thing.
It must get a stage when, and I imagine it's quite a scary stage, when it's time to play the song to somebody else and see what they think, and their reaction. That must affect the way you feel. Do you have are you ritualistic about that, or is there someone in particular you ask to hear it first, or how does that work?
I don't really believe anybody. I believe me, I think. I mean, obviously this is a terribly different way of working if you're working with Disney. For example, I'll write a song thousands of miles away to a piece of film, if I'm lucky. Some of the time it's just a few lines on a page of what the action would be. So I'll write the song, and then you've got 3 directors, well, 2 directors and a producer, plus all the people in the background that are all there, executive producers and executive directors, and you're playing this thing, and then there's this awful silence at the end where, I grew up in the world where this is what I do. This is my album. Do what you want with it, as opposed to record companies saying, "Oh, it's not finished yet. We need a couple of other songs on it. It's a bit dark, isn't it? Whatever." I was brought up in the other world, and so to have suddenly a committee tell you what's right or wrong with it, that's a bit. You have to just take that hat off and put a different hat on, and I love that. I love that hat, because I'm learning to do something brand new that I've never done before, working with this kind of team, whether it be the musical Broadway people or whether it be the film people. But I don't really. There's no one I can really say, because by the time people hear it, I've already decided that it's good enough or it's not good enough.
Do you have writer's block?
I go through periods when I don't really write at all. And frankly, if I sit and I've got a little studio in my house, and I will sit and I'll write, and I may, hoping that something's going to happen, record it, and if it doesn't, then I just get rid of it. But I can just walk away from it, if nothing's happening. You walk out, come back a half an hour later, and the first thing happens, wow, that's good, what was that? I don't have to hammer away at it because I've got a deadline to meet. If it's not happening, it's not happening.
But would you feel something of a loss if you didn't write?
Yes,
keep writing songs.
Yeah, I'm at the stage now in my life that the writing is the most pleasurable thing. It's the satisfaction of writing it and doing it, and now with computer you can just go on forever or not. But you can actually, change things. Sometimes you have a mistake, you shift the whole part to a different, you copy the part and it all goes to a different instrument, and suddenly it's like, what was that? That was happy accidents, stuff like that. But that's what I get the most pleasure from. So I can see a time in the very, very near future where I will write songs and nobody else will hear them but me.
Another Day in Paradise. I'm going to ask you to play it in a minute, if that's okay.
Yes.
Before we get there, could you ask...
I do like music.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure.
I'm not very good
I hope you like playing it as well. What was the circumstances behind writing that and the inspiration for that song?
Well, this actually was one of those moments where there was nothing happening. There was a what you call a block, and I did leave the room, and I did come back, and the first thing I wrote was, if I can get it right, but. Features quite a lot in some of my stuff actually, but anyway, I wrote that and I thought, okay. I managed to tap the idea a little bit back to playing in America with Genesis, and we were playing in Washington. And I remember we had a pastor that was driving us. He was a part-time limo driver as well, but he was in this van, and I said to him, because it was snowing, and there was all these people out on the streets, and I said, what's going on here? Is there a sort of demonstration or something? He said, no, this is where these people live. I said, and you could see Capitol Center, and I said, you're joking. What? Washington, I thought was one of the wealthiest cities in America. And it is, but then there's this huge gap. But he said, no, they live here. This is their home, these boxes. I said, my God. And I think it must have just subliminally gone in. The song now is so associated with the homeless, and it almost seems wrong to burst the bubble, but when I wrote the song and did it in some kind of, some kind of order onto tape, which sounded like I could sing along to it, I'm afraid that's what came out, There was no burning issue to help solve the world's homeless problem.
So these songs take on their own entity, and then and then you find yourself being criticised by 𝙋𝙤𝙤𝙞𝙡 for what he perceived as, I don't know, maybe he felt that you're not in a position to write about this. So does it then feel that you own this song, or does it feel that you're separate from that criticism, or?
Well, no, I just think that from the criticism point of view, it's just that he hasn't listened to it. It's just to him, it's just an annoying song. He hasn't actually listened to what the words are. You know, the idea is that we should just all thank God that we're as lucky as we are. You know, you, me, him over there who's not living in a box. You know, but the criticism was like that. How would I know because I'm wealthy? Well, you imagine what it's like. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'll play it. Shut up. She calls out to the man on the street, "Sir, can you help me? It's cold and I'm nowhere to sleep. There's somewhere you can tell me." He walks on, he doesn't look back. He pretends he can't hear her. He starts to whistle as he crosses the street. Seems embarrassed to be there. Oh, think twice. It's another day for you and me in paradise. Oh, just think twice. It's just another day for you, you and me in paradise. Just think about it. Nothing more anybody can do. Ooh, Lord, there must be something you can say. You can tell by the lines on her face. You can see that she's been there, probably been moved on from every place, 'cause she didn't fit in there. Ooh, just think twice. It's just another day for you and me in paradise. Ooh, just think twice. It's just another day for you, you and me in paradise. Just think about it. Just think about it. Think about it. It's just another day for you and me in paradise.
I was wondering what your process is for the very beginning of a song, whether it would start with a melody or a bunch of chords.
I used to be more reliant on keyboards rather than piano, because their sounds had atmosphere, and they would, when you play something, it would make you want to play this next. You know, like, and so I used to play around with that an awful lot.
So almost like the feeling of the music rather than the notes themselves would create the song.
Yeah, and then, you know, but then at the same time, without any of that, you just start playing on piano and you get a different kind of song, you know. So it's all the different kind of the tools you got all make it different, you know.
Why do you think you still write songs if you've presumably you've got over the divorce now? That was a while ago.
3, mate. 3.
They keep coming. Is that what do you think spurs you on to keep on writing?
Well, to see if you can do it again a bit better. You know, I mean, it's like I'm always more interested in the thing that I'm going to write than the thing I did write. You know?
Okay. And what's that like, hearing your old songs? Does it feel like looking at old photographs of yourself, or?
Yeah, well, my 6-year-old, he wants to, you know, he's particularly he'll listen to a song like No Son of Mine from Genesis, or I listen to a song like Driving the Last Spike, which is about about the making of the English railroads, you know, Genesis song. And he'll say, what does that mean? What does that, why did you say that? I said, well, I just said it because it popped out of my mouth. Or, why do you go, in Mama? Why do you do that? Because the rest of the song's not like that.
It's kind of hard questions to answer.
Yeah, I know. I sort of say, well, you know, at the time, that's what I did, and everybody seemed to like it, so we did it. But great question.
I guess also what you're saying is that there isn't necessarily a clear logic to why you went, ha ha ha.
Well, there's a completely clear logic to the story, but I mean, it's difficult to explain that that's why you did it, as opposed to just everyone laughing and then you getting on and not doing it, you know. You know, in fact, our engineer at the time brought in Grandmaster Flash, the message, while we were recording, while we were writing Mama, and he put it on. And this is like early days of rap, you know. I mean, you listen to it now, and it's like very, very different from the stuff you hear now. But it's like a, you know, it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. And we laughed. We thought, what a fantastic thing to put in a song, just to laugh. So I went out there and we were writing, and we would get to this bit, like the drum machine was going, and it was like just moody chords, and I went, and they all looked around, you know, said, that's good, I like that, you know. So eventually it became part of the song.
So the message inspired Mama,
yes.
Inadvertently.
And you tell people that, and they'll think I'm crazy. You think you're crazy, you know.
Well, life takes unexpected turns. I mean, I imagine when you started, you didn't think you'd be a player on the hip hop scene.
Hip hop. I remember seeing a program just flipping through the channel one day, and Ice-T, I think it was, back in the early days of rap. He was there was a documentary about him, and they were in his living room, and he said, "Oh," and this cynical journalist said, well, what you got in your record collection then? And he found my albums, and he said, what is Phil Collins doing in your record collection? He said, hey, man, don't mess with my film, man. And I thought, my God, this is nice, you know, because you get so used to what you read about yourself that actually hearing it from a musician, in music, there is none of that.
Yeah, it's more open-minded.
Yeah, it's just music, good or bad, you know.
Does it feel strange when you realise that these songs have become such public property? I mean, these songs are so well known. You know, something, well, you could take In the Air Tonight, you know, you might be driving down a road in Georgia or somewhere and it could come on the radio. It's no longer, in a way, it's no longer yours.
I automatically assume, I mean, I just can't get myself into the other way of thinking about it, but I automatically, when I leave the country, they stop playing the records. You know, you go to America and you promote something and they play, yeah, let's see it, feel right. They put it away till it comes back, you know. And then someone will say, oh, I was in the car today, someone in America and I'm here. Say, oh, I heard you, I went, 2 stations were playing 2 of your things back to back. It was extraordinary. And I think, really? You mean life goes on when you're not there?
We talked a little bit about the Tarzan Commission with the song. Yeah. Can you just tell me a bit about how that came about?
I got a phone call saying, would I like to do the music, write the music for a Disney movie. Now, I mean, you got to understand that Disney, my older brother is a cartoonist, and the animators were his heroes. My sister was an ice skater, and she skated in Wembley every year. We had Dopey living with us, you know. We had little Kenny Baker living at my house. He was playing Dopey in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The dog didn't know what to make of him at all, but he was living at our house. So Disney for me is like something that I was riding the bike and my dad let go of the saddle when he was singing, hey, diddle-dee-dee, and actors, you know, I've got a lot of history with it.
It's there from the start.
So when they asked me to write music for a movie, I thought, God, I'm suddenly being asked to become a member of a club that I never thought I'd be a member of. So I said no originally. I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm not good enough for that. And I spoke to the music guy, the guy that puts people with the movies, and he said, listen, you can do it. I said, I can't write. I can't be like Alan Menken. I can't do those comedy songs. You know, be my guest, be my guest. I can't do that. He said, well, we don't want you to do that. Otherwise, we'd get Alan Menken to do it. What we want you to do is be you, but write it to the movie. So suddenly, I saw things from a different perspective. You know, when you do something like a Disney movie, they'll give you 3 or 4 maybe pages of an outline of a story, and they say, we may want a song there, probably a song there, the baby's crying, yes, we're going to want a song there for the ape to sing, You think, I've got to write a song for an ape to sing, right? So, okay, I don't do that often. So I sent them the demos of the songs, and the director started to fall in love with the demos. And it was then suggested that I would sing in the movie. And I said, you're crazy. You know, people have gone to go and see the movies expecting the ape to sing, you know. You can't suddenly have Phil Collins' voice. It's going to take them back to somewhere else, you know. And in fact, we had a sort of 11th hour thing where Glenn Close, who did the voice for Carla, who is the mother ape, I was sat you know, in the studio with her to teach her it, and she was much more Broadway than pop, and she couldn't get the rhythm of the thing. And then you know, it's all upbeat, and there's nothing on one. Come stop your crying, it will be. Just take my hand. She couldn't handle it, so I ended up singing it because of that, really. But anyway, I'll try to amble through this. Come stop your crying, it will be alright. Just take my hand, hold it tight. I will protect you from all around you. I will be here, don't you cry. For I'm so small, you seem so strong. My arms will hold you, keep you safe and warm. This bond between us can't be broken. I will be here, don't you cry. 'Cause you'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on, now and forevermore. You'll be in my heart, no matter what they say. You'll be here in my heart, always. Don't listen to them, 'cause what do they know? We need each other to have to hold their side. I knew I'd find it. Oh, I know. When destiny calls you, you must be strong. I may not be with you, but you got to hold on. They'll see in time. I know we'll show them together, 'cause you'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on, now and forevermore. You'll be in my heart. Oh, no matter what they say. You'll be here in my heart, always. Just look over your shoulder. Look over your shoulder, 'cause I'll be there always.
That was lovely. And I even like the pauses. Thought they added something.
There's some I wrote the chords down. I mean, what is the point of writing the chords down if you can't look at them when you need to? But anyway.
Does the inspiration keep coming?
Well, I do like when, you know, these things are presented to me that are a little bit outside the box, you know, or my box anyway. You know, what I mean, Tarzan, we talked about when the film was out, we did talk about taking it on the stage because they were having great success with Lion King having transferred from the screen to the stage. And unfortunately, at the time, you know, they couldn't work out how to do animals, you know, that wasn't like The Lion King, or it wasn't like gorillas with zips up the backs, you know. So nothing happened to it. But then they suddenly got a great designer and writer and director involved, and called me back and said, "Do you want to do the Broadway musical?" And I was like, for me, I was the Artful Dodger in Oliver in London, you know, and when I was 14, and so to actually write a musical, that was like, wow, to do what Lionel Bart did, you know. And I just totally got into it for 4 years, lived in New York for 6 months when it started. And I just found that it was like a completely different way of writing, and that was just fantastic to sort of be given that opportunity at, you know, whatever age I was, 51, 52 then.
Do you think you'll always write songs?
Yes. Yeah, because, you know, it's my hobby as well as my life, as well as my job, you know what I mean?
So you still enjoy it? Oh
yeah, yeah. What I, you know, I say the part of it that, and even, you know, I mean, I just, going back to the things with my young kids, you know, they're discovering what Dad does, you know. And the other night they wanted to watch something. They've heard the song, they wanted to watch the video. So I put on something, and I was watching. And you think, oh, you know, if I could do that, but still come home every night, I'd do it, you know. But it just drags you away from home, and then suddenly, you know, you miss whole periods of your kids growing up. And also, you know, the actual doing it, I love performing, but one thing I will always do is write, because that's what I do now. It's part of what keeps me going.
Thank you so much. That was great.
I enjoyed it.
Neurostatic, thank you very much. Well done, both of you. Could I just ask you, could we take a picture of everybody together? Do you mind if we just take a picture there? You take a seat there. And the rest of the gang. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Well done. Thank you so much indeed. What the answer is to leave everything, turn everything off.
This is the time of year for frost. Don't be caught out. Frozen pipes can be avoided. So make sure your house is really frost-proof.